This video covers assertiveness strategies in dialectical behavior therapy. Specifically, we'll review how to use the Dear Man Give strategy to ask for what you want and say no to unwanted requests. It's really important to use assertiveness skills to ask for things we want or need, including practical things like to borrow money, for someone to pay back money we lent them, to borrow tools for a ride to the airport, for someone to help us move, or for advice about how to solve a problem. Solving problems sometimes requires getting help from others. Sometimes we ask people for specific relationship behaviors like spending time together or physical affection, or to stop behaviors that bother us. We also often need to say no to requests when they would burden us, or when we have done much more for another person than they have done for us. Getting our needs met in relationships often requires effectively speaking up. If you don't speak up enough about what you need, maybe due to fear, guilt, or the belief that others should already know what you need, you create a situation where you too often get overwhelmed, or your resentment builds about an unbalanced relationship. This video will cover relatively simple assertiveness examples. The next video will cover how to apply Give Dear Man to more difficult situations, like when you need to discuss sensitive topics, or when the conversation could easily turn into an argument. Many people believe that being assertive diminishes relationships, but actually the opposite is true. As long as you're nice and non-demanding in your approach, and you don't ask for too much and say no all the time. If overall in your relationship you do for the other person as much as they've done for you, your relationship will be much stronger. If you determine that overall you have done less for the other person than they have done for you, it can still be okay to assert yourself as long as you commit to doing even more to give to that person or express your gratitude. If you're not sure about the balance, ask the other person. I really need your help, but I'm worried about asking because I think you may have already done more for me than I've done for you. What do you think? I really need your help and I'll definitely return the favor, but I don't want you to say yes if it would create a problem for you or our relationship. If the other person's asking you for something that you're really reluctant to do, you can say something like this. I really want to say yes, but I'm really worried it would create a big hardship for me to do it right now. And I'm really worried about saying no because I think that overall I may have done less for you than what you've done for me. What do you think? I really need to say no right now, but I don't want to if it would create a bigger problem for you or our relationship. I would definitely make up for this by trying to help you with something else in the near future. What do you think? Let's start with how to ask for something. Dear involves these steps. First, you describe the situation or problem. Next, you express your thoughts and feelings about the situation. Next, you assert by asking for what you need or want. Next, you reinforce, meaning help the other person see the benefits of doing what you're asking. The first step is to make sure the other person understands the facts of the situation you are trying to address, which sometimes means accurately and clearly describing the behaviors of the other person that you don't like. It's useful to be super specific. Also, it's crucial to stick to the facts, which usually means sticking to things you directly observed, especially facts about the behaviors of the other person that you actually observed. It may help you focus on observed facts if you try to stick to what a private investigator would have in their written notes if they observed everything you observed, or stick to what could be submitted for evidence in court. It is also useful to check the facts and convey that you are open to additional information by saying something like, "It's my understanding that," is that correct? Next, use I statements to express your thoughts, feelings, and opinions. Do not assume that your feelings and opinions are obvious. Use phrases such as I want, I don't like it when you, or I feel stressed by, instead of phrases like you should or I can't. Explain your position. Express your soft emotions like sad, lonely, worried, stressed, guilty, or hurt, And generally avoid anger words, including irritated, annoyed, frustrated, so that the other person does not feel judged or get defensive. Also avoid making statements about the other person's negative thoughts and emotions. If you think the other person is truly angry, judging you, intending to hurt you, doesn't love you, or has lied to you, watch the next video in this series, which covers how to apply Give Dear Man to these difficult situations. Next, assert by asking clearly and directly for what you want. Generally, hinting is less effective than asking directly. Assume that others cannot read your mind and that they will not do what you want unless you ask, and be specific. If you want the other person to change how they relate to you, ask for specific observable behaviors rather than specifying your desired thoughts and emotions. Asserting with a question is much more useful than a command. Asking with a question helps you avoid being perceived as controlling or demanding, and also makes it clear if the other person agrees to your request. Saying yes to a request question also maximizes the chance that the other person will follow through. You may consider only hinting if the other person thinks you've done less for them than they have done for you. Next, reinforce. Explain to them how giving you what you want will benefit them and you. And if relevant, what problems you may face if you don't get what you want. At a minimum, in advance, express your appreciation and your intention to return the favor. You can ask how you can return the favor. Help the person feel good ahead of time for doing what you want. After the person does at least some of what you want, you express appreciation and return the favor as soon as you can. Perhaps a thoughtful gesture like a small gift or a handwritten thank you card. If you determine that overall you've done less for the other person than they have done for you, start planning how in the near future you will do even more for that person. Here are the steps again in a nutshell. Because of the situation, I feel, I would like, I need, I prefer. I would be so appreciative. It would help. I would return the favor by, can you please? Here's an example. My car just broke down and I need $500 to fix it. I'm so stressed out and worried I won't get to work. Can I borrow $500, please? I would so appreciate it. I would pay you back next month and return the favor by helping you move. Here are the steps when you're asking a person to change a behavior. When you do that behavior, I felt or I feel, I would prefer if you instead did this other behavior. I would be so appreciative. It would help us. I would return the favor by, can you please? Try to ask the other person to do a behavior that you want rather than asking them to stop a behavior you don't want. At step A, you ask for the positive opposite of that problem behavior that you described at step D. Here are a few examples of asking for the positive opposite at step A. Rather than saying, don't get home late, say, get home before 8 p.m. Rather than saying, don't yell at me, say, speak in a much softer voice. Rather than saying, stop interrupting me, say, let me finish my sentences before you speak. Rather than saying, stop ignoring me, say, look at me and answer my questions, please. Here are a few dear examples of asking a person to change a behavior. When you came home late without calling, I worried that something bad might have happened. I would prefer if you called me to let me know. I would be able to relax and be in a good mood when you come home. Can you do that, please? When you raised your voice, I felt afraid, hurt, and distant. I would prefer if you kept a gentle voice, please. I would feel appreciative and warm towards you. It would motivate me to do even more to meet your needs. It would help improve our relationship. When I see you respond so minimally, I feel disappointed and ignored. I would prefer if you call me back more often and sooner, and answer my questions with longer and more thoughtful answers, please. I would really appreciate that. Now let's review what to do if the person says no to your request, or says yes, but then doesn't do it. Hang in there, and don't give up too easily. The steps are to understand why, and convey how their reluctance or non-compliance makes sense, and to persist and negotiate in a calm and confident manner. Depending on the importance of the situation and the amount of resistance you encounter, you may not need to do all of these things. Give builds collaboration through understanding and empathy. When you're denied, it's helpful to maintain a soft, gentle voice and facial expression. Of course, that means no attacks, hostility, or insults, and also to avoid judgmental tone and words. Be diplomatic and use a little humor if possible. Work to actively tolerate the no, so that you'll have the best chances to turn the no into a yes, or at least exit the conversation gracefully without damaging the relationship. Avoid manipulative statements, mean-spirited threats, and moralizing, such as, if you were a good person, you would, or you should, or you shouldn't. Exit gracefully if you get angry and are struggling to complete these steps effectively. It's almost always most effective to deliver your request with a gentle and easy manner right from the very start, even before the person gives you an answer. The idea is to kill them with kindness. Show interest in the other person by finding out why they're reluctant to do what you want. If they said they would do it and then did not, find out why. Use active listening skills. Ask questions, and don't interrupt or talk over them when they answer. Start with open-ended questions, which are questions that cannot be answered with a single word like yes or no. Questions like, what happened? Or, what are your concerns? Maintain eye contact, nod your head, and make encouraging sounds like mm-hmm, right, and I see, as they speak. Then summarize their reasons, concerns, and preferences, including their thoughts and feelings, and ask the person if you're fully understanding. If not, ask the person to explain more. You can extend the understanding by validating, which means communicating that the other person's concerns, preferences, thoughts, and feelings make sense. Things like, it's very understandable that you feel, or many people would feel that way, or your reluctance makes complete sense. Make sure they understand that you understand why they said no, and convey how their reluctance or noncompliance makes sense. Make sure the amount of time you put in to listen and understand matches the needs of the situation, the person's level of reluctance or refusal, how much they have strong feelings about the request, and how important it is for you to get them to agree. A simple matter could involve a single question and a single summary like, why can't you? Oh, I see, you already have an important commitment at that time. Whereas a more important and complicated issue might require that 20 minutes be spent on give. It's most difficult at this step when you don't really understand, and you think their refusal doesn't make sense. Perhaps you feel they're not being honest about their reasons, which we might call excuses, or they're based on misinterpreting your situation or your motives, despite your best attempts to explain them. Or you view their reluctance to help as selfish or unfair. In these situations, try your best to summarize what they say, taken at face value, and validate whatever parts you can, even if you can't honestly validate all of it. Some part of everything makes sense in some sense. At a minimum, you can say something like, I'm sorry I'm having trouble understanding a lot of what you said. Some of it doesn't yet make sense to me, but I can clearly see you have reasons that get in the way here. Essentially, the give skills are about expressing compassion and empathy out loud. And you can do these skills before you make your request if you're aware that it may be difficult for the other person to do what you want, or if you expect the other person may be reluctant to do it. When they feel understood and validated, you have the best chance of persuading them to say yes, or at least agree to a compromise. Understanding the reluctance might also clarify opportunities for you to solve the problem that prevents them from doing what you ask. If a person explains with a simple "I can't," it can help to gently say, "If you help me understand what's interfering, maybe I can help you take care of that." This persistence sometimes pays off. Also keep in mind, they might not say yes because it's a difficult issue, and they don't currently have the time to talk through it thoroughly. Be sensitive to the person's desire to have the discussion at a later time. After completing the give, persist with your attempts to influence, as long as your approach doesn't threaten a valued relationship. For example, it's gentle and non-demanding. Especially if they owe you a favor or you have a legitimate right to what you're asking for, like the person owes you money. When any of these are true, stay in the discussion even if it gets painful. Ask again and repeat the important benefits of them granting your request. Sometimes the request needs to be repeated several times in a gentle and confident manner, which we call broken record. Don't stammer, whisper, or stare at the floor. Again, kill them with kindness by showing warmth and understanding while trying to elicit their compassion for your dilemma. Persist without being a pest. You can explain how your relationship will improve or stay strong if they help you. Also, maintain your focus by ignoring attacks, threats, distractions, or other attempts to divert you. Just keep making your points. If the gentle, confident repetition doesn't work, try to negotiate. Try to compromise by reducing your request, making it easier for them to say yes. Offer alternative solutions to their problem, things that address why they said no. Turn the tables. Ask them for alternative solutions to your problem that may also minimize their problems. What do you think we should do? How can we solve this problem? What do you think we can do to reach an agreement or compromise? Are all questions you can ask. Ask how you can return the favor. What can I do in return? Offer to do things that can offset their inconvenience or burden. Is there anything I can do to make up for your inconvenience or burden? You can ask them. You can try the following if the gentle, confident persistence and flexibility don't work and a tougher approach is needed. You can exert more force if getting what you want is more important than the person possibly seeing you as pushy, threatening, or guilt-tripping them. Just be sure not to use these strategies too frequently. If you do a lot for the person and their refusal does not make sense to you, or you think they're being selfish or unfair, tell them that you feel hurt and that refusing to help you could harm your relationship. If needed, you can gently remind the person that you will be less willing to do for them in the future if they don't do this for you, although this will likely be seen as a threat. You can also express anger if you keep it mild. Here are a few examples. In this first attempt, Alex says to his sister, "I'm kind of in a jam. Can I borrow $500? He didn't share any details, so there's the highest chance of him getting a no. In his second attempt, he tries adding in all the Dear Man Give pieces to increase his chances of success. My car just broke down and it's going to cost $1,500. I'm starting to panic because I only have $1,100 in my account right now and I won't be able to get to work until it's fixed. Can I borrow $400 to get it fixed and borrow your truck until my car's fixed, since you don't drive your truck that often? It'll be very tight, but I could pay you back half on the 1st of next month and pay back the rest on the 1st of the month after. I would be so appreciative. I really need your help, and I'll definitely return the favor."
No.
Do you not have that much now, or is there some other reason?
I have it, but you know I worry about money. What if you can't pay it back? I also worry it might sour our relationship.
Okay, so you don't want to lose your safety net, and you worry about falling short, especially if something got in the way of me paying you back in a timely manner?
That's right.
Well, that certainly makes sense, and I still really need you to do this for me. Can you please reconsider? It would be so helpful. If not, I'll be in a difficult situation. Please? If I run into any trouble paying you back, I promise to do whatever it takes. I could even mow your lawn so you wouldn't have to pay your gardener until my debt is paid off. I'll even collect cans if I have to. Whatever I gotta do. What do you say?
I'd rather not agree to something that would put us in that awkward situation.
Yeah, I see how that could make you feel uncomfortable. What about letting me borrow $300, and maybe I can ask Joe for the rest?
I'm only comfortable lending you $200.
Okay, I appreciate that. And what do you suggest we do to solve the rest of this problem? I'll try asking Joe, but I don't expect he can give me more than $100. I'm not even sure about that.
Can't you take the bus?
None go that way, unfortunately.
Then how about you sell some of your tools, and then later you can buy some replacements when you get the funds?
I need my tools, and I will lose a lot of money since a new set of tools will cost much more than the amount I can quickly sell my tools for. Do you have any other ideas?
To reduce the cost, you can buy some used tools when you get the funds.
Okay, that's a good idea, except I don't know how quickly I can sell them. Do you have any other ideas?
Yeah, I guess you could borrow my truck for a while until you get a few paychecks to cover the repairs or find some other way to pull the funds together.
I'm so grateful, and the good deed will certainly come back to you, I promise. Alex decided to do a very minimal broken record, only repeated the request once, so his brother wouldn't view him as inappropriately pushy, and instead focused on persisting with negotiation. Here's another request. This time Alex tries to get money from his friend Emily. I want you to pay back the money I lent you. Yes, that's it. Just a simple A, asking for repayment. We can improve its chances of success by adding in more details to the A request. And also add in the other three letters of Dear, the D, E, and R, like this. I want you to pay back the $100 I lent you last June. I need it by Friday, because that's when my rent is due, and I'm a little short this month because I have a big unexpected car repair that I need right away so I can get to work. You borrowed the money almost 1 year ago, and I'm very disappointed it's taken so long. And I haven't heard you even mention it this whole time, as if you've just forgotten or that it's no longer important to you. I'm getting really stressed out by this whole situation. Can you tell me why you haven't mentioned it this whole time? Are you intending to pay me back? Is it still important to you?
My money troubles continued, and I felt guilty and embarrassed. I'm so sorry that I still don't have the money.
I'm sorry to hear that you're in an ongoing difficult situation. Many people are facing similar financial challenges these days. I understand that it'll be hard for you to come up with the money. And I still really need you to find a way to come up with the money and pay me back by Friday. If not, I'll be in a difficult situation, and you are way overdue, and you blew me off for so long. I need you to make this right.
I'm sorry, but I don't think I can in that time frame.
I'm so sorry that this pressure will create a hardship for you, but I need you to find a way.
I really don't have it.
How much cash do you have on hand? How much is in your bank? When is your rent due?
I have $1,200, but I need that entire amount to pay my rent in 2 weeks.
Well, what do you think we should do to solve this problem?
Don't you work downtown? My buddy Eric lives real close to you. He works downtown too, and I think his schedule is pretty similar to yours. He's a nice guy and owes me a favor, so I think he'd be willing to drive you for a while. Maybe you can do that for a while you and I try to get the money for your car repair. That would allow you to first pay your rent and then fix your car as soon as we can after that. Does that sound okay?
That sounds like a reasonable backup plan, but I'm not comfortable relying on others for my transportation if we can avoid it. I'm actually $200 short. Do you have anything of value that we can sell? I would like you to give me $50 now and some things that I can sell for at least $150 so that I can take care of all my current bills, even though you borrowed $100. I think that would be a reasonable repair for you not taking care of your debt to me sooner? So you can pay your rent. You could probably ask my brother if he can pay you to mow his lawn. You could collect cans too if needed. Here's an example of Give Dear Man to say no to an unwanted request. A guy is talking to his best friend, and her spouse is also his friend. And she asks him for advice about how to address an issue with her partner.
Can I get your advice about something that's bothering me?
Okay.
Well, I'm worried that Alex might be messing around. We've been having some problems lately.
I'm sorry, but I'd rather not get involved. I really don't want to hear any of the details, and I don't want to give you any advice. I value our friendship, and I value the friendship that all three of us have. I encourage you to talk to him about it directly. Just stay calm, stick to the facts, and ask him to explain whatever you noticed or were told.
I really want to know if you think I should get a detective, or if you can help me check out a few pieces of his story. I thought you were my friend and would want to help me.
I'm sorry, but I don't want to get involved in this way. I understand this is a really difficult and complicated situation, and you need help to figure out what to do. I can't even imagine how horribly you must feel right now. But please, preserve our friendship by not continuing to try to involve me in this way. I worry about getting in trouble if my advice or help didn't work out well, especially if Alex ever knew I got involved, and I could end up feeling resentful.
Okay, but I just don't think talking to him will solve anything because he'll just deny everything, and my intuition is telling me very strongly not to believe it.
Could you take him to a couples therapy session to get some expert help to get past those difficulties you expect? I hope you found this video helpful. If you're thinking, I've tried this before, but it doesn't work on the person I most need to influence, then you may want to watch the next video that covers how to apply Give Dear Man to more difficult situations, like when you need to discuss sensitive topics or when the conversation could easily turn into an argument.